You hear your alarm clock go off at dawn. It doesn't wake you because you didn't sleep. Again, it's been 96 hours since you last dreamt, and at this stage, no part of you suspects that it's going to kill you. No part of you imagines that you've got a disease with no cure, a condition that'll send you to hell long before you die, a disease that has affected less than 200 people in all of recorded history. Still, you feel like a member of the living dead as you peel yourself off of the sweat-stained mattress and lumber into your kitchen to brew up a pot of coffee. Seems like the only thing that keeps you going these days. Outside, the sky is already getting lighter. Another night gone. You check your phone only to see a bunch of text messages from your mom. You're meeting up with her for brunch today. It's been in your calendar for weeks. You must have just forgotten with all the stress you've been dealing with lately. And it's all because you couldn't get a good night's sleep. You've had this problem for about a year now. You doze off, and then at multiple points in the night, your restless mind would wake you up and make returning to sleep impossible. You just lay there and stare at the ceiling, all your greatest anxieties playing and replaying in your brain like a 24-hour news channel. Back then, at least the mornings were a welcome sight. Sleep still separated one day from the next. It's only in the last few days that sleep stopped. No drifting off, no jolting awake, just consciousness. At brunch with your mom, you tell her all this, and she just stares at you. She tells you that she doesn't want to worry you, but your grandpa, who died not too long before you were born, was in a very similar situation. He became an insomniac late in life before a sudden horrifying decline in health swept him off to the void. She hesitates before saying it, but you already know what she's thinking. He stayed awake too. Hearing this, you think it's time to visit your doctor. When you tell the doctor your symptoms and about your family history, he seems a little shocked and refers you to a neurologist. And that's when your hell really begins, with a battery of uncomfortable and invasive tests. First, they conduct a sleep test in a controlled setting to see that you truly can't get to sleep. Then, they perform an electroencephalogram, or EEG, to measure the electrical activity in your brain. That's followed by an MRI and a CT scan. And just because the neurologist really doesn't want to leave anything to chance here, they stick a syringe into your spine and extract cerebral spinal fluid for analysis. After a few weeks of tests, the neurologist can tell you that all of his worst fears are true. You are suffering from fatal familial insomnia, a condition with reports dating back to 1765, though we only gave it a name in 1986. You are going to be clinically unable to sleep for the rest of your short life. He tells you something else. Most people begin to suffer irreversible damage after just 3 days without real sleep. You've already passed that point. Sleep deprivation causes so much damage to your brain and nervous system that your body gives up. At the rate you're progressing, you'll be dead within 2 years. You do the math in your head. The clock didn't start today, it started days ago. But you've got hell to go through first. And all the while, you can't help but wonder why this is happening to you. The truth is, you lost the genetic lottery and got landed with the worst neurodegenerative disorder of them all. A biological curse known to affect only 70 families worldwide. A true 1 in a million chance. You learn this at 3 in the morning, still awake, scrolling through medical journals that you barely understand. A freak mutation causes toxic proteins to build up in your brain, attacking the thalamus, the part that controls sleep. That's why the first sign of fatal insomnia is trouble sleeping. But it is gonna get so much worse. It's hard to even express just how unlucky you are to be dealing with this. 10% to 15% of these diseases, known as prion diseases, are inherited. Yours traces back to a single extraordinarily rare mutation, a genetic typo so improbable that it's been recorded in barely 100 people worldwide. Doctors labeled it D178N. The name doesn't matter, the outcome does. Around 131 total cases have been reported, 57 women and 72 men, though it doesn't appear to discriminate. The mean age for diagnosis is 47.5 years. But as you now know, early onset cases aren't out of the question. Mean survival is about 18 months, right in line with your neurologist's prediction. You stare at those numbers while the sun comes up again. Fatal familial insomnia is still rare even among prion diseases, with hereditary conditions of this type only making up 10% of cases. Lightning strikes cause around 24,000 deaths per year. In 2024, 4 people were killed by shark attacks worldwide. This year, statistically, you are the one person who will die from fatal familial insomnia. During the first 4 months that make up stage 1, your lack of sleep starts the dominoes falling towards so many other unpleasant side effects. You're exhausted all the time. Driving feels unsafe. Cooking feels dangerous. You've been awake for weeks now. You stop counting the nights because the number is too large. You have a panic attack while you're at the supermarket. The sudden pain in your chest makes you worry that you're having a cardiac event as you fall to your knees, struggling to breathe. The people in the crowd around you ask if you're all right, and you can't even summon up enough air to respond to them. As the disease progresses, this will start happening to you at least once or twice a week. As the exhaustion, both physical and mental, gets worse day by day, you find that it's easier to stay at home. If only it ever got bad enough that you could actually sleep. Your life seems to be taken over by a constant sense of fear and dread, a common symptom for people suffering this incredibly rare disease. You jump at shadows. Every noise you hear during your sleepless nights feels like strangers breaking in. You're still awake when the morning comes again. And that's when the paranoia sets in. What if you're not sick? What if you're being poisoned? What if everyone is in on it? Your mom, the doctors, the neurologist? No, that's crazy. But then again, how likely was this disease? 4 months pass, and things get worse. Stage 2, 5 to 10 months. Occasionally, you'll get moments of relief. They don't happen often, but when they do, they feel almost like life is returning to normal again. Maybe in your exhaustion, you'll catch an hour of sleep here and there. You pass out and you check your watch, and you look outside to see if it's dark now, but it doesn't help. You'll never reach real sleep. Your brain never shuts off. If fatal insomnia was just flicking a switch between sleeping and not sleeping, it would kill you even faster. It's extremely dangerous to go even 72 solid hours without sleep, as you'll begin to experience noticeable cognitive impairment. At 96 hours, you'll begin to slip into full-blown psychosis. You passed 96 hours a long time ago. When you get out of bed, your blood rushes straight to your head, and it nearly knocks you over with vertigo. Most mornings, you feel unbearably nauseous and confused. The brief snatches of scattered sleep get less and less frequent. It's almost like you can feel yourself dying. The problem is that you never sleep long enough to get the restorative elements of sleep. Your brain never flushes out the buildup of toxic proteins that's causing your mind to slowly rot. And the extent of that rot starts to show itself in hallucinations. As you're lying in bed at night, you hear a crying sound. Soft at first, and then it gets louder and louder. You get up and you search around your house, convinced that there is a distressed baby somewhere in there, but you can't see anything. The crying gets louder and louder, like it's drilling into your skull. It makes you feel so guilty that you can't find the baby and can't help it. This is one of the more mild hallucinations that you're going to experience. These next few months are literally going to be a living nightmare. Maybe it's because your mother told you your grandfather died the same way. But every few nights you see a vague shape in the corner of the room, half hidden in shadow, standing there and staring at you. You wonder if your grandfather saw the same thing. You seem to be drenched in sweat all the time, so much so that you often need to change your clothes a few times a day. When you look in the mirror, you notice that your pupils have tightened into pinpricks. Though at any given time, it's hard to tell what's really happening and what is just another hallucination. Even when you're at home, you find that panic attacks are getting more frequent. Your entire life has ground to the most sickening kind of halt, as your mind seems to completely betray you. As time goes on, the effects start to become increasingly physical too. The sleep deprivation and the damage to your nervous system means you have a hard time getting it up, and it seems like every day you spend hours on the toilet due to suffering from severe painful constipation, which is as humiliating as it is debilitating. But as you reach 10 months of living through this hell, with less than 9 months left to live, you're about to lose so much more. Stage 3, 10 to 13 months. By this stage, you have completely lost the ability to sleep. No blackouts, no microsleeps, no escape. Your mind is always on. You begin to rapidly lose weight to an unhealthy degree, to the extent that you feel like a shadow of your former self. Your nervous system collapses, you waste away, you need a wheelchair, you forget basic facts about your life, words slip away, painful muscle spasms rack your body, your limbs jerk and shake without warning, and everything feels confusing. As your control over your body and its vital functions loosens, you experience random and painful muscle spasms, and worse still, there won't be enough of your mind left to fully understand why it's happening. Of course, your hallucinations haven't stopped either. In fact, they are getting worse. You feel less and less like you're keyed into the reality around you. Everything is becoming increasingly alien and abstract to your perceptions. You're beginning to enter a permanent hypnagogic state, that liminal space between wake and sleep. The world seems unreal and dreamlike, but sleep itself never actually comes. Over time, the brain damage begins to take a serious toll on your ability to communicate with the people around you, and you start to lose the ability to speak entirely. And when you're capable of speaking, to most people it seems like an incoherent string of nonsense. Your family members know there's no cure, but they look into anything that might ease your seemingly constant pain and distress. In some cases, clonazepam might be able to lessen muscle spasms, and there have been inconsistent evidence of barbiturates helping with the constant insomnia. But really, there is nothing that can ease your pain. as you become increasingly trapped inside your own body. Due to the rarity of the disease compared to, say, Alzheimer's or cancer, it's not exactly a top priority for research funding in the medical community at large. Promising results have been found in studies on mice, but none of those are at the stage where they'd even begin to be transferable and generalizable to humans. And as time goes on and things get worse, you'll slip into Stage 4, 13 to 19 months. At this point, if you were able to look at your own thalamus, it would look like Swiss cheese. The thalamus of patients who have died from fatal insomnia has been described as looking worm-eaten from the decay it sustained over the course of the disease's progression. This explains every torturous symptom you've been experiencing. The thalamus controls the brain's autonomic nervous system, regulating everything from sleep to body temperature. That's why you've been sweating yourself to death too, as well as dealing with impotence and constipation. By this late stage in the disease's progression, you are fully mute and unable to communicate through other means too. You are dead to the world months before you're dead in a literal sense, and you are awake for all of it. You've been taken out of your home and put into hospice care by now. You lay in bed eternally looking up at the ceiling as you are tube-fed because the disease doesn't respond to sedatives. Days, weeks, and months pass like a terrible dream, but you never lose consciousness, not once. After 19 months of the worst hell imaginable, your body gives out on you and you are declared officially dead. For the first time since that fateful morning, your brain finally shuts off. You're able to rest. Now check out Man Resistant to Cold and A Man Allergic to Cold, Weird Medical Conditions, or watch this instead.